So this is a closed room, open space, ask any questions you want to ask. We're gonna have our panelists introduce themselves, and then we can ask them a couple questions that some of you guys submitted ahead of time, and then we'll turn the floor over to you. So today I have with me my fantastic co-moderator, who's also one of my national officers of the National Black Law Association, Ms. Alicia Wallace. So she's gonna get us officially started today. Good afternoon again. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right, what I'm going to do is first start off by introducing our panelists. First, and if you all could just raise your hands in case you all can't see their name placards. We have Ebony Brown. She's a third-year law student at Walter George School of Law, Mercer University. She's also a member of the Black Law Students Association and is a student writing editor for Mercer Law Review. Next, we have Mitchell Brown, who is a second-year law student and president of the Black Allied Law Students Association, and he is a student at New York University School of Law. Next, we have Bikini Fields. She's a third-year law student and vice president of the Black Law Students Association, as well as a student at Atlanta's John Marshall School of Law. Next, we have William Lee. He is a second-year law student at University of Pennsylvania School of Law. Then we have Charles McGee. He's a third-year law student at Florida International University College of Law and a pre-law co-director of the Southern Region of National Black Law Students Association. And we have Jasmine Morris. She's a third-year law student at Mercer University, Walter F. George School of Law. And she's also the membership coordinator for the Southern Region of the Black Law Students Association, as well as the student liaison for the Georgia Association of Black Women Attorneys. Last, we have Anthony Scholl. He's a third-year law student at Atlanta's John Marshall School of Law, and he is also in Black Law Students Association. And we have Shaylin Smith. She's a third-year student at University of Alabama School of Law and the editor-in-chief at the Alabama Civil Rights and Liberties Law Review. So if you would give them a round of applause. The initial question that we're just going to do, just to make it clearly plain for everyone here, we're just going to allow every panelist to have the opportunity to say to everyone briefly what you all hope for the students to get out of this panel, starting with the key.
Hi everyone. I'll let you know I'm really excited to be here, excited to see you all here. Again, it just brings me life right now, remembering how I was a student getting ready for law school. I guess one of the things I would hope that you can take from this experience and this panel discussion is that law school is a life-changing event, and if you are really diligent and you really are focused on, excellence, that is something that is very beneficial to you, but you'll be able to serve your community. And I just want you to get that from this discussion.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm excited to be here as well. And I think the big takeaway that I want you all to leave with is that law school is a lot of work. It's challenging, it's a grind, but everyone in here can do it, and everyone in here can be incredibly successful at doing it at the same time with the right preparation and diligence.
Good afternoon. The big takeaway I think you guys should get from this is that there are people across the country that's willing to help you on your journey. During law school, you'll learn a lot about yourself. Aside from academics, you'll learn how you have to look deep within yourself to keep going. There's going to be long nights, early mornings, but you'll get through it.
Good afternoon. If I had to think about what I want y'all to take from today, I would say to stop for a second and remember exactly why you're here and why you want to go to law school, because there's a lot of sacrifice that goes through the 3 years that you're going to be going through. And the thing you'll always want to do is just stop and remember the way you feel right now and the things that you're thinking right now, because it will help you in the future and you'll get really far.
Good afternoon. First, I want to say that everyone in this room looks amazing this evening. I think you all should give yourself a round of applause. The one thing that I want you guys to take from this is that law school, as I like to put it, is one of the best worst experience of your life? That's
Hi everyone. The one thing I would like to say is that you need to learn how to be in the moment and start now, because what you're going to have to learn in law school is that you need to be in the moment, whether that's in class, you need to be in the moment, not on your phone, not surfing on Facebook. When you're studying, you have to be in the moment, so you have to put your phone down, be away from people, because it's a very individual experience. Everyone goes through law school in groups, and we'll talk about that later, but it's a very individual experience. So living in the moment, being an individual, and really just like honing in on who you are is probably the biggest thing.
Greetings. The biggest takeaway I want you all to take away from this is that first, we're all family. Everybody in this room, we are the next generation. We are this generation of African American and people of color lawyers. But also, I want you to pay attention that the world is your oyster. Stay open to opportunity. I know I came in saying I want to do one thing, but my mind has changed a couple times. So stay open to the opportunity because you don't know where it may lead.
Good afternoon. I want to kind of piggyback on, I guess, what everyone said. Obviously, at the end, there was a lot of great ideas and great takeaways, and I hope that you all are writing this down. And my takeaway that I want you all to jot down is start now. So everyone here in this room has made a firm commitment by your presence here. You matter, and in this moment, absorb that and start now. Continue building on this moment right here, in building your connections with your peers, and reaching out to panelists here, reaching out to speakers after they've spoken. So you guys have the opportunity to put yourself in a position of a great advantage. So start now.
Thank you so much to my panelists. So like you said, we want this to be a safe space. We're going to be real with you guys, and so we're going to get straight into some of the questions that I know you guys are all thinking about. You may be afraid to ask. And so the first question that I would like to pose to any of our panelist members is, why did you choose to attend law school, and how important has that reasoning been through your law career?
I guess I'll start. So after college, I thought that I wanted to attend law school because I was a poli-sci major, loved government, had some great internships with the government, but then I realized I didn't know why I really wanted to go to law school. So I decided to work for 2 years. I did some community engagement work for a hospital, really fell in love with health policy and healthcare policy, and I decided to go to law school to pursue that. And I think what that reasoning has done for me in law school is it gives me a sense of purpose. It gives me a grounding. And I think one of the things that you have to remember in law school is that everybody's like a hive mind. They're all chasing the big firms. They're all chasing the 160 salaries in New York, big office. But if you have a firm reason for going there, you can't get distracted from that reasoning and that brought you to law school. And it's that grounds you, that drives you, that directs you, and that steers your path.
So I've always said that I was going to go to law school. Actually, since I was younger, I always said I was going to be a judge. So, but then I realized that you had to go to law school first. So to get over that hump. So I always said that I wanted to be a family law attorney, since that's what I wanted to do. What you'll learn when you get to law school is that you'll change your career about 5,000 times. And so I came in wanting to be a family law attorney. Then I wanted to do criminal. Then I wanted to do civil work. Now I'm back to criminal and civil rights. So I guess my journey to law school is just as indicative of, being in the moment and living, in yourself and understanding that it's such a process. So, yeah.
To piggyback off what Ebony and Will said, I wanted to go to law school. I decided to go to law school after my junior year in college. I did a program called Trials. It's a consortium between Harvard and NYU. And that's when I realized that my community needed me to step up and be a leader in the community. My whole college career, I wanted to go to business school. I still want to go to business school, but I want somebody else to pay for it. But I did some voting rights work with Common Cause North Carolina. I went to North Carolina A&T, and I was working on voter registration and trying to fight the voter ID law in North Carolina. And I realized that, again, my community needed me to step up and to be a leader. And as a teacher in America, after I graduated, and I realized that I saw in my kids' eyes that they needed somebody to aspire to be. They needed a mentor. They needed a father figure. They needed somebody that could tell them, you can make it, you can do it. And that just even furthered my passion. I need to go to law school to help my community and to be the change that I wish to see in the world. You know, that sounds real cliche, but that's the truth. And that's probably true for all the panelists up here. Is that we go to law school because we want to make a difference. And you're here today in Atlanta, in this room, because you want to make a difference. So let's go make that difference.
And kind of piggyback off what Mr. Brown said, he talked about the importance of community and how what dictated as to why he wanted to enter the profession had to do a lot with what he saw in the eyes of the youth. And being a law student, like I understand how important it is to have the community within the law school to keep you going in that process. And so I want each panel member to kind of talk about what community means to them in the sense of the law school environment or experience, and maybe share a struggle that you have in law school now and you have overcome it, which you've done. Sure.
Yeah, I can actually think of something specific. So at my law school, we have a program called Street Law. And basically what we do is we go out to a high school and we basically teach them a course of law twice a week. And at the end of the program, they're able to participate in a mock trial. And this is a big deal because they actually get to do it at, our state court and in front of an actual judge. And it's a huge deal because the students have never had an opportunity to do something like that. And I was able to be one of their teachers, but also one of their coaches for the mock trial. And the funny thing is, the students didn't know this, but I hadn't actually participated in mock trial myself in law school yet. I'm on the law journal, but I actually have not been on that side of the experience at my law school. And so I guess being able to be there with those students and I guess just see how much they looked up to me and realize that, you could be a lawyer or a law student, and look like me and have, similar characteristics and similar lights as me and, get through it. It made a difference for me, and it made a difference for me when I had to participate in my own, appellate argument for my legal writing class, which is a big deal, where I also have to basically give an argument in front of what would look like a jury or judges. So I guess basically being able to speak to young people and understand that, they're encouraged by me, but I'm also able to get my encouragement from them.
Okay. Just to follow up on that, I think of community in two ways. One is the internal Penn Law community, and finding my niche in that. First and foremost, wherever law school you're going to go into, HBCU, not HBCU, join the Black Law Students Association. That's going to be your bedrock. That's going to be your support in law school. Definitely join that group. Secondly, join some group that you really identify with. And for me, that was the Employment Advocacy Project. Because growing up, my aunt and my mother both were unemployed, and they didn't know how to advocate for themselves to get their compensation, to get their benefits. And so one of the things that we do is we work with low-income people in Philadelphia to help them get their employment compensation when they've been denied. And to see somebody who looks like them, represent them, and work with them, and mediate on their behalf, and fight on their behalf to get their employment compensation means a lot. And it helps to build and foster external community between the Penn Law community and the greater Philadelphia area as well.
And just to build on that, the network that I've been able to create at law school between my peers. It's my third year, and next year we'll all be in the workforce together. And thereafter in the future, we'll all look to each other, perhaps for resources to help each other, one another with a case or with support or even for employment. So that's the way I view the law school community, and that's why I suggested it when I said that in my opening portion. Additionally, I found myself doing work in DeKalb County, which is just outside of Atlanta, helping with youth violence prevention and letting young people who look like me know that there are other alternatives, there are other options than just what you see on TV. So I think that community involvement is so important to the work that we're all going to end up doing in the future.
Ms. Ruby, what are your thoughts on how do you maintain that or find that sense of community within the law school?
Like William was saying, the BOSA, especially going to a PWI, the BOSA chapter is the most important thing you will have in law school. I currently serve as the vice president at my at my school's chapter. And we're the smallest organization on campus, but we have the biggest and best events on our campus. We invite judges down. Every event we do it strategically to place our members in front of judges, in front of attorneys, so we can get them internship opportunities and things like that. Just last night, we were all in group meet, and we're basically like a family. So it's like not all just law school. We're talking about show, scandal, how to get away with murder, things like that. So Boston will actually become their family once you're around. If you guys go to HBCUs now, if you go to a PWI, you're gonna look around and no one really looks like you. So you gotta keep those people close.
So for me going to the University of Alabama, I think of community in a couple of different ways. First and foremost, my law school is a great community. I can wave and talk to anybody around. We're a very small school because our school is very selective on the students that they accept. And so I have that immediate family, but I'm also in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, where there's still not very many people who look like me. So I have to, like everyone else said already, say that joining BALSA is one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. BALSA has given me plenty of money as I have given it. And BALSA has given me a many of opportunities, but I can say that none of us had, well, maybe some of us had physically met each other before today, and we literally have been upstairs clowning like we've known each other for years. So BALSA is an experience not just for people who are Black, but of course it is the Black Law Students Association, and I think of that as being another way of finding community. But my last point is finding community in a way that makes you excel. So because you're a face and not everyone is going to be used to sing, you have to start becoming a leader within the community so that they can start to see at that law school that you're also an important part of the law school. For me, that meant going outside of BALSA. So last year I was very active in BALSA, and this year I became editor-in-chief of one of our law reviews. At Alabama, that never happened before. There's never been a Black woman taking over. And you have to make those changes. You have to go out and be the best student you can be and start to take leadership in other ways. Join a moot court team, do those type of things. And I think you'll find a lot of people will start to love you and you'll love them back.
I've been a minority at a school my whole life. But when I got to Mercer and I found out about the Black Law Student Association, I immediately felt at home. I felt as if at the BALSA meetings I could be myself. I felt like I could, let my hair down. I didn't feel like that all the time in the classroom. So when you get to law school on your first day, yes, I'm speaking it into existence for all of you. Find out who is on your Black Law Student Association and join immediately.
I'm gonna be really repetitive, so join BALSA. And I went to the Howard University. I see the hand. But yeah, and each BALSA chapter is a little different. Mercer BALSA is very, very, very active. We have a program called Talented 10th Academic Enhancement Program, and everyone pretty much knows what the Talented 10th is, but the purpose of the program is to encourage BALSA dues band members to excel and be a part of the top 10% of the class. And so I had the pleasure of coordinating the program last year as a 2L, and it was very, very good experience. So, we had, at the end of the semester, we proctored exams, and we went through the exams with you. We had group simulated games, so we had like BALSA Jeopardy, and which was lots of fun. Me and Jasmine go to Mercer together, so we were very competitive. But so you're within a community that wants to help you thrive within the law school. Also, BALSA will have Etiquette 101 events, where I was just at an Etiquette 101 event last week, where I basically played like how to do a good interview versus how to do a bad interview. You learn etiquette when you're going to a gala, placement settings, things that you wouldn't necessarily know going into law school. So BALSA is a good way to kind of bridge the gap between your undergraduate career and now your legal career, and then eventually your career as an attorney.
Hey, real quick, BALSA. But also outside of BALSA is make allies with your other affinity groups on campus. I know at NYU we have a BALSA, SALSA, and LAWSA, other students of color groups, and even we have a Law and Women's Society. and we have an LGBT, we have an outlaw LGBT community as well, is make allies with these groups, because at the end of the day, Boss is just one organization, and we can throw the best parties, which we do. And, you know, we can have the best events, but at the same time, we have to make allies because to strengthen members. And when you talk to the administration and you try to push them on diversity issues, diversity is more than just getting black folks in the room. That might be our focus, but it's about getting diversity in every sense of the word. Because law school is not a very diverse place. Our legal community is not a very diverse place. There's articles throughout, you know, every newspaper in America talking about the legal community is not diverse. We know that. You know, you keep on writing about it, but we know it. But the key question is that I see that as a charge to us on this panel, us in this room, is what we're going to do about that. And what we do about that is make allies with our other organizations, and we push the administration to increase the diversity at the school. Because if we don't do it, then who's going to do it? So, yeah, build the community and expand the community.
Absolutely. So you heard them talk about how important community is to them and how it's inspired them to go to law school, but you also heard about how it's important to find a community within your law school in order to maintain yourself and, you know, keep hope alive in your law school. And you heard that Balsa is the place to be, the affinity group to find. But also, it's also important to diversify your network as well too. So Balsa is your support group in terms of making it through, but being open to reaching out to other affinity groups to help you along the way. And so we talk about, you know, community, but you know, throughout the whole conference, you know, we tell the students preparation is key. And so I want you guys to talk about what is one thing you wish that someone would have told you in undergrad to help prepare to get onto the law school right now. So we'll start.
The one thing that I wish that was imparted upon me before I came to law school is it's really about your reading and writing, right? And how good you are at those skills. So while you may believe that you're a good reader and a good writer in the general sense of that word, law school requires a different view of reading and writing and the type of writing that they do in law school. So I wish someone would have told me to find someone who could mentor me in that capacity to develop a legal writing mindset myself.
I agree.
I'll just be quick. That law school is 2 jobs. So you have your preparing for class, that's one job, and then you have your preparing for the next day of class job, which is your studying. And so, you know, you're spending all night long preparing to not know anything that's going on the next day. And then you're in class, and that's a whole nother job as well.
Your writing is very, very, very important. And if I could go back and do it again, I probably would spend more time in undergrad working on my writing.
I think someone needed to tell me, and probably all my classmates, that you are nobody. I mean, I like to believe that we're all somebody, and I don't want to go around saying you're nobody, but it's true. You're gonna walk in that first day of law school, and your professor is one of the most intelligent people that you've ever met. It's probably written a book. They don't care what you have to say, they don't care what you think you have to say. Your classmates are all there to tell you how bright they are, that their dad's a judge down the street, that their mom sat on a federal bench, that their sister has a law firm that they're going to next year. You mean nothing to them until they need you. So it is your job to remember for a second to take some humble pie, that everything you think you know is the right answer is wrong the first 10 times you say it, and the 11th time you'll get it right. And that if you keep on trying, no matter how many times you get told no, 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 stop, you'll get it right eventually.
Like the other panel said, writing. Undergrad, I thought I could write pretty well, and I got humbled real fast in law school. So writing, yeah.
Ditto to everything that everyone said, but 2 very quick points. Number 1, invest in a typing class. Get your type speed up. That's going to be crucial in law school. Trust me, get your type speed up. Take Marcus Bacon or whatever they call that program. And number 2, and most importantly for me, I had to realize when I went to Morehouse, there were, multiple, all right? All right. They better came out this Atlanta. But there were multiple exams, multiple papers, multiple, just ways to improve your grade. In law school, there's one exam. Everything builds up to that one exam. And no matter what goes on in class, no matter what goes on outside of class, your focus and your attention should be towards that one exam at the end.
Okay, well, again, I have to take it up with what everybody said, but first of all, get this book.
Get a,
Yes.
Okay,
Please
it's
do.
called Law School Confidential, and it's by Robert Miller. I wish I would have read it earlier. I did read it before law school, actually, and I thought it was very helpful, but I would have reread it like 3 times back and forth if I knew how, helpful it would have been. It has chapters in it for your 1L year, your 2L year, and your 3L year, and basically just gives you tips on how to basically excel in your classes and how to deal with the stress of law school. And lastly, just remember that law school is challenging your world view of things, but you need to find out how to challenge it back intellectually and not emotionally. So you need to figure out how to do this on an intellectual level, and remember that law school is not, challenging your worldview emotionally, and a lot of my counterparts in law school had a hard time dealing with that in class.
And if I can maybe one, sorry.
well, on that book, because you're gonna say the other book, aren't you?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so on that book is really great for another reason. It doesn't just have 1L, 2L, and 3L in it. It has application process, picking a school, financial aid. Please read this book, and we'll pick it at a tab.
That book is, read that book first, but also read Get Into Maybe. It teaches you how to take a law school exam, how to approach a law school exam, because at the end of the day, it's all about that one exam, and it's all about sophisticated application of law to fact. So the second book is called Get Into Maybe.
Getting to maybe.
Let me Google the author, I'll tell you in a second.
Okay, so it's not every day that you guys have the opportunity to be in front of the best different crowd, the people who you aspire to become like or have questions for, but don't have the opportunity to reach out to or not necessarily accessible. So we want to turn the floor over to you guys. And so once you have your question, raise your hand, and Ms. Wallace will acknowledge you. And when you stand up, we'd like for you to introduce yourself, state your name, what school you attend, what year you are, and then ask your question.
We're gonna start, so I'm looking in this direction, 1, 2, and then we'll go from there. But I have seen everyone's hand, but we'll start here.
Okay, hello, how are you? My name is Maya Carson, out of Platte University in Orangeburg, South Carolina. I'm a senior, politics and justice major, English minor. I was asking you guys, I know a few of you guys took a year or 2 off before law school, and I'm really considering that, possibly maybe doing some surveys like Peace Corps, or maybe city or something like that. How helpful do you think that helped you when going into law school, taking that 2-year off, doing Teach for America or the other program?
I got you. Because a lot of y'all came to the NYU table when I told y'all this. I told y'all to take time off. So thank you for the question. I think it was one of the most important things that I did before law school. Because first, going through 16 years of education, from kindergarten to graduating from college, you burn out sometimes. And if you keep on going forward with law school, you'll find yourself even more burnt out. And it's just not helpful. That's the first thing. The second thing is that it taught me more about who I was as a person, who I was as a man, and why I wanted to go to law school. And law school is very important to have anchoring factors about this is why I'm here. So on those late nights and early mornings when you feel like I don't want to go to class, I don't want to do this paper or anything like that, you go back like I'm doing this for this reason. For me, I did it for my students that I taught in New Orleans. That's who I'm doing it for. And actually on my computer screen I have a picture of one of my students, he's like my son. I'm doing it for him. And when I open my computer, I'm like, I gotta do this paper, I gotta do this assignment for my professor. I look at him, and I'm like, I'm doing this for you, bro. And I'm serious, and so taking those 2 years off really helped me find who I was, and to find those anchoring factors about why I'm in law school, and to never forget that. So I would take time off.
Well, because this is law school, I have to say on the flip side, there are merits to not taking time off. If you already might have some of those principal factors, I know if I would have stopped, I would not have gone back. So if you know you're not getting up and going back to school, sit your butt down and do 3 more years. And at the same time, I'm getting a master's degree too, so I'm gonna walk out with 3 degrees and be 24 years old. So you know how. But I'm not knocking it, because I ain't tried it, so.
And also, I just wanted to say, since we have a lot of questions in the audience, we're gonna have just one of the finalists answer that question, and if we have more time, then we'll allow them to speak. And also, after this, you guys have the opportunity to speak with them individually as well.
Okay, we'll go here.
Hello, my name is Chanel Smith at senior at California University, business major, management constellation. My question is for the gentleman from NYU.
Okay.
Coming from an HBCU, what was the difference between like a teacher-student relationship? Because I know at Clark I have a good relationship with my professors. So how is it with the professors at NYU?
It's depending on the professor. Some professors, well, first off, there's not many black professors at NYU. Not many black professors, period. But coming from A&T to go to NYU, it was different because my professors, they didn't really care who I was. I'm just going to be real. They didn't care who I was. And so I had to make sure they knew who I was. So I raised my hand in class, you know, and there's you probably talk about Socratic method and cold calling and everything. I volunteered myself as tribute a lot. I'm like, I'm just going to raise my hand before you call on me because I know what we're talking about right now. Tomorrow will be a different story. Right now I know what we're talking about. But the professors, they don't, some care about you and they'll make the time to reach you, but it's really about you reaching out to them and building that relationship. And then some professors, on the last point, some professors don't talk about race, they don't talk about sex or any type of diversity issue, they talk about what they want to talk about. And so that's, again, reach out to them, like, no, I want to talk about this. And I think this will benefit the class. So some professors care, some don't, but it's on you. It's on you to make that relationship.
All right, our next question, I will actually choose the panelists, unless you all have a preference. We're gonna go with Charles McGee, and here are the glasses, and I'll get you next.
Hello, my name is Kiana Harris. I am a senior from Winston-Salem State University, and my question is basically, I would like to know what was the deciding factor for you guys of choosing your school? Because we went to the fair, it seems like everybody in the school had something different, but something good as well to offer. So what was like the deciding factor for you guys to choose your school?
For me, it was, first of all, the tuition was the cheapest in the state. It was a smaller school, which I'm used to going to a small HBCU, so I knew I would get that attention from the professors and the faculty there.
And then our next question will be for Jasmine, and it was yes.
Hi, my name is Paris French. I'm a senior at the University of Arkansas Columbia, majoring in poli-sci. And I was wondering, was it important for you to keep any undergrad books that you have in any of your undergrad classes?
Hi, Paris.
I'm not sure
I
what
hate
you
to say
said.
this, but I don't think my senior got bought these books, but, you know, one book? No, honestly, no, I didn't keep any books.
Take logic, keep your logic book. Might help them else.
I kept my elements of style from English class because writing is important, so keep that. And the author's name, I'm sorry, before I get another chance to speak, but the author's name of that book is Richard Fishkill, and you spell that F-I-S-C-H-L. F-I-S-C-H-L. I hope I said that slow enough, I talk fast.
If I can interject just real quickly, and it wasn't a book for a course. I read Earl Graves' How to Succeed in Business Without Being White, and it did assist me in different ways. I wanted to share. So,
I kept my college grammar book. That was helpful when writing memos. So if you have a college grammar book, it was a really generic book. So if you can find one, if you don't already have one, it'll help when you're writing memos.
So basically, anything that has to do with reading and writing, keep those. Another question was this one on this side of the room in the pink.
Hello, my name is Kiana Harris. I'm a junior at Albany State University, criminal justice major. I heard that you say when you're at the top of your class in undergrad, when you do attend law school, it's a shocker. What was the first dose of reality that you had when you went to your first law class?
That cold call on the first day in torts. I was volunteered as streaming without being asked, but yeah, that first day in being cold calling torts. I don't know if y'all know what cold calling is. Oh yeah, okay. So you've been told every part of you leaves your body and escapes you. And we said earlier, you forget your name. They said, Miss Smith. I said, oh, who's that? Because I spent so much time reading, and I knew every single part of that case that I was being called on, but I forgot every single thing that I read the night before, because in one day I was sitting next to the most brilliant minds in the country, and I wasn't sure if I fit in. So I think that first day.
Well, good evening to all. My name is Jasmine White. I'm a senior at Fort Lauderdale University, major in political science, minor. My question for, I guess, anyone, how was your first year in law school? Like, how did you make it and say, yes, I can go to the next one? How did you go to
So, my first year was the best, worst experience of my life. I definitely think that I was tried emotionally, spiritually, intellectually, mostly, and it's gonna be one of those experiences where you're gonna have to latch on to people. Me and Jasmine, I call her J-Mo, we latched on to each other, literally. And you'll find that you'll have to kind of develop a schedule. So we would be in the library all day long. You'll find that probably the most challenging part of your first year is realizing that you're not going to be able to have as much fun. You're not going to be able to, you make time for your family, but sometimes, you can't go to every barbecue, can't go to every graduation. You just can't. So that was kind of challenging for me, but if you stick to a schedule, you make a schedule. Our schedule was every day, pretty much until about 11 every day, and then on the weekends, we were there from 10 to 10. We had our breakfast, lunch, and dinner breaks. And you had a little Instagram break every now and then, kind of keep your sanity, but first year it was rough. My mom's over there, she'll tell you.
And one more thing, you can't go to the barbecues, make sure they send you a plate.
Yeah.
Make sure they send you a plate. Law school, you hungry.
So all of the free events was free food, because you're gonna need it.
I've always told people before also that really the thing about law school, I think the biggest misconception that a lot of people have is that law school is so hard as far as what you're learning. It's really not. It's just what she was saying. It's the time that's very difficult. It's a time management issue of learning how to get all of these assignments and reading materials done in one day. When in essence, it could take 4 hours. I know that's how it was for our first year, 4 hours to read one case, and you might have 6 cases a day. So it's really a time management issue. But once you have the hang of it, I don't know if you all would agree, second and third year became a lot easier than it was first year because you knew what you were doing by the end. Oh, and then I will get you all from that. Okay.
How you doing? My name is Andrew Pink, religion and philosophy major, junior at Parkland University. My question was, I remember she made mention, I think, about a joint degree. So my question was, how hard or how strenuous was it pursuing a joint degree, and what would be your recommendation or advice to other students who might want to pursue?
So I think joint degree programs are very helpful if you know you want to do it. For me, I didn't know how interested I was in healthcare until 2L year, and so I actually expedited my time, and I actually had to take some classes over the summer while I was clerking full time. It was rough, but of course I will tell you one thing that no one ever tells you. I have friends who are doing JD MBAs and a lot of other joint degrees. If it's not law school, it's not hard. Every other, okay, we get real today. All right, so you remember how much of a good time you had in your undergrad experience, right? That's what grad school is like. Your friends are gonna complain to you while you're in law school, talking about, oh my God, I had to do all this reading, I had to do nothing. They didn't do anything, because you had 20 more hours in the library. You're sitting here piling up for a test all the way down the road, where in a master's class, you have a test at the end of the week, you're like, oh, okay, I'll do that. I just did an assignment like 10 minutes before I got here and turned it in for my health studies degree, whereas I still have not read the hours of reading I need to for class on Monday. So I encourage anyone who would like to do a joint degree to do it. I think LLM programs, if you're going to do an LLM, you're good with numbers, go into tax. It's a growing area of the law. JD MBAs are all useful. If you have a business understanding of anything, you'll be a very good transactional lawyer. So definitely try it if you're able to do so.
And then we had two in the back here, and then I know here and here.
Good morning, everyone. Well, good evening. My name is Anasa Foxworth. I'm a student at Savannah State University. I'm a political science major with a minor in mass communication. My question is to everybody on the panel. So I am a junior, and I'm approaching my senior year. It'll be here before you know it, and I don't have any internship experience, so internships and shadowing. So what advice can you all give me to approach those type of situations with internship, shadowing? Like, what did you all do to prepare for law school?
And I'll direct that question to
All right. So to locate or prepare in terms of internship experience, there are a number of sites that you can go upon. However, I found personally that the best ways to get an internship is meeting people, right? And building your relationship with people. So you may say to yourself, well, yeah, sure, I heard that before. Right, because everyone says that, but you're like, what's the next step? The next step is finding where they go, right? Because whomever it is that you would like to be like, they go somewhere, whether it's to eat, whether it's for an organizational purpose. So even the most prestigious person, right? They're a part of an organization that you can find out when they meet or when they're having some sort of celebratory event, show up, introduce yourself, and keep in constant contact. So it might not be that person that you're able to find experience through, but they know someone who may be applicable to you, or someone else that you met while trying to meet them will be able to provide you with an opportunity. And also use your current base of friends and family members, because they also know someone, and you just didn't think to ask them.
Can I add something quickly to that? Real life experience. Almost every job that I had, job internship, externship, however you want to label it, almost every one of those has been from networking. For example, before starting law school as a senior at Hampton University, I was a senior class president and I had to attend an event. While at that event, I took advantage of it. I shook every hand in the room. I talked to them, I'm going to law school. Do you have any advice for me? I spoke with someone who was in the business field, totally unrelated to what I wanted to do. But I just had the courage to go talk to him. Long story short, he asked me for my resume, he sent it to somebody else, he sent it to somebody else, and I got a job at a mid-sized firm right before I started law school. I had a federal judicial clerkship, and that came from just walking up to the judge who I didn't even know was a judge. And I just talked to her. And she said, you know what, send me your grades after your 1 year. It was that simple. So for everyone, networking is extremely important. You just have to be willing to put yourself out there.
And something Jasmine said was very important. We found out in the lobby that we actually had, so we interned with the same judge. And I ended up with that judge. To this day, I don't know who actually told her to contact me because I never applied to her. Her office called me and was just like, the judge wants to hire you for the summer. I'm like, I don't even know how she got my information, but I'm about to do this phone interview. Got it immediately. Come to find out, backtracking all the way back, my mentor in the BALSA was actually working over the program that was doing hiring. And I think, I still don't know to this day, but I think she put in the word somehow that way, and then we ended up connecting that way. So just to be honest, when you all go to conferences like this, it looks like a lot of different people from all over the world. When you continue to go to conferences, you're going to see the same faces. I came here, I'm from Houston, there's other people from Houston and all of these different places. I don't know how many people who I have already met before. Sharmika, I met her through Nevada, she's here in Atlanta, but I met her back in 2012 at a conference. And we're still friends to this day. My my mentor, who I met at this particular summit, was a pre-law portion of the summit, still in contact to this very day, talked to her a couple of days ago. So even though it looks like a huge network, I guarantee you all, you continue to come a couple of years from now, you're gonna see the same faces, so connect with each other, while you have the chance. It was you in the back, and then we're gonna direct it to you two, since you all haven't spoken a little bit.
Hello, everybody. My name is Imani Lockworth. I'm a junior political science major at Clark Atlanta University. My question to you all is, what's the appropriate number of law schools to apply to?
Well, put it this way, the first time I applied to law school, so I guess I'm more of a non-traditional student, so I applied to law school when I was first graduating from undergrad at this university in Nashville, Tennessee. But I applied to like 30 schools. And I feel like that probably wasn't the best idea, and I realized after the fact it probably wasn't. I had worked before, so I had a real full-time job outside of undergrad. And I probably got into maybe about 3 of those schools, but not the ones I really wanted to be accepted in. And so I ended up going to Teach for America and basically working as a teacher there for about a year or so. And then applied again and only applied to about 4 schools. Made sure I had a really tight-knit personal statement, really good recommendations from people I had worked for, and I just built, rapport with those people enough to where it really mattered. And I feel like, some people will say it, some people won't, but, try as, hard as possible to get into, top schools, apply, but I think it does matter and say something if you're able to, focus on a couple few and make sure you get in and keep up with those schools. And if you're put on a wait list, contact that school, let them know, how determined and how, diligent you are at being a part of your school, and it does make a difference. I've heard a lot of stories of where people have got accepted to schools that, wouldn't have accepted them if they had requested an interview after they were waitlisted. So it makes a difference.
We have a very similar track in the sense that I also applied to 30 schools as a senior in college and only got into 3 of them, and none of the schools I got into were good options for me, so I took 2 years off as well. What I would recommend personally is 3 reach schools, like your Harvard, your Yale, your Stanfords, 3 target schools based on your LSAT, your GPA, and 3 safety schools that you're almost confident that you can get into. And like the Kitty said, I'll just tell you a personal story. I was all set to go to Vanderbilt, but I kept pressing pen, kept asking for an interview, and literally, and this is how God works, the day I was signing my lease for an apartment in Nashville was the day I got accepted to Penn Law. So definitely don't discount any school just because somebody says it's out of your range, but I think the rule of 3 is perfect for that.
We'll have 2 more questions. I'll do one here and one here.
Hi, my name is Joshua Shapiro, and I'm a sophomore political science major at this university. Did the financial cost of law school ever, did it ever try to stop you from going to law school? And obviously not, but how are you, or how will you deal with the financial burdens after?
So I'm gonna tell you a story. So I go to Mercer Law, I got into Mercer, and they didn't give me any scholarship money. Mercer has a program where they look at your grades after your first year, and they give you a scholarship based on your grades or your rank. So I got a little change from them for my second year. But the way I took, basically, I decided that I was gonna pay with law school with scholarships. So I literally applied to every single scholarship I saw. And I literally, and I'll just disclose this, I've made $44,000 in scholarships. So that means that I'm not paying for my last year of law school because I had scholarships. There's sites that you can go on if you want to see me, I got you. A lot of scholarships for law students don't start to your second year because they want to see your grades, they want to see your involvement and things like that. So of course you struggle your first year, but Literally, when I tell you, applying for scholarships was literally like a second job for me. Like, every time me and Jasmine were together, she's like, what you doing? I'm like, applying for a scholarship. So, you know, it's possible, but no, it didn't deter me because I was just like, you know what, somebody else is gonna pay for this because I'm not, so.
I think there's another way to deal with that as well. I think it happens on the front end where you are right now, preparing for that LSAT and doing really well on that LSAT. For me, I did the opposite and got an LSAT scholarship, and so I was trained to do well on the LSAT. I didn't pay for the class or the test. Then I got into law schools and I had scholarships that paid for my law school time. I have a few loans, they're not very much, and I got in-state tuition because I'm originally from California. And it's just been fine to me. I'm not scared. I know that the little bit of debt I do have is going to be something I can pay off because of how well I've been able to do in law school and where I'll be employed. So you can do it on both ends, and I think that's awesome that you were able to even find scholarships for law school. I don't think I had the time to do it in law school. So. No, so I went to Stillman College undergrad in Alabama. There's okay, all right. And so there was a law firm that gave me a scholarship, and I also got another one, which two balls was torn again. University of Alabama Law School. We have a scholarship that we give out every year for LSAT, our annual scholarship banquet. And it's for anybody who I think is like their junior, senior year. So you can look out for that, and even if you're not going to Alabama, you can win that LSAT scholarship. It's for students of color. So.
Y'all jot that down. And then there's also I know there's a Kaplan, I think it's called Kaplan Appleseed. I know one of my mentees received that scholarship as well. It's basically a free LSAT course.
May I quickly interject? Just one point. All of these are huge law firms. Almost every single one of them offers a scholarship.
Oh, yes.
And I applied to literally every single law firm for their scholarship program, for the diversity fellowship program, and that's how I got my second year scholarship. And they have tons of money, and not enough people apply. So apply to every law firm scholarship program that you can if you have the time.
And that's true. And I'll just give y'all a little hint. Okay, so this is my strategy with applying to scholarships, and it has worked. You write, most of the scholarships that people ask for, they have a general statement. Why do you want to go to law school? Why should we give you the scholarship? Have your general statement already ready. I have copied and pasted the exact same thing and changed the name of the organization at the end and got the same scholarship from different organizations. Save your time. Because in law school, I'm sure you've done it. I'm law school, a lot of scholarships. You don't have time to, there are just tons of scholarships to apply for. And don't bypass the ones that are very small. A lot of people bypass the $500, the $1,000. Those are the ones that nobody applies to. So basically, if you write, I want a scholarship, you're gonna get it because nobody else applied. And I've been on scholarship committees where it's unfortunate that nobody applies and they have to grant it to somebody who probably wasn't as deserving as somebody else who should have applied. So keep that in mind also.
I'll also say about scholarships, that I sat on the scholarship committee, because Mercer also gives out a scholarship now, and to high school students. And the one thing that I was looking for was no grammatical errors. So turn in the scholarship, no grammatical errors. It has to be complete. So if it says your resume, your personal statement, and your transcript, have it in that order. Resume, personal statement, transcript on resume paper, so you just follow the directions. And I feel like that's the only way that I got all of my scholarships, because I literally put it in that order.
And then this is our last question, and then we'll wrap up.
Well, good evening, everyone. I am Brianna Young, a senior history law major at Toledo College. My question is kind of similar to the previous question. I am from Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama, to be exact. And I just want to know, how do you all transition if you were from a different state to that different state? How would the resources as far as financial?
I can definitely speak on that. I'm born and raised in Richmond, Virginia. I chose to go to Mercer, as you know, it's in Georgia. I had never been to Georgia. Don't have any family here. Nothing. So I literally was like a fish out of fresh water. I think what helped was the organizations that I became part of, like FALSA. I knew that since I didn't know anyone in Georgia for the most part, that I would have to put myself out there. That I would have to say, you know what, I am looking for some friends, or whatever the case may be. You know, I lived, but it was, I'm not gonna lie, it was tough. I was at Hampton for undergrad, so I might have been like an hour and a half away from Richmond. So I didn't have my mom, you know, to go to for a Sunday meal. And I would be salty sometimes when, you know, people got to go home and be with their families for a week and whatever the case may be. But just putting myself out there and joining organizations such as the Georgia Association for Black Women Attorneys. I have several mentors who are attorneys in the Macon area, who are attorneys in the Atlanta area. I can go to their house for dinner. I can call them. You know, we can meet up. You know, so I think just putting myself out there and joining organizations helped a lot.
And go home with your friends. Y'all in the HBCU, go home with your friends. You don't have to do the chores when you get there. You get free food, it's home cooking, like, it's the best of both worlds. And then you have to deal with, explain to your mom why you're not calling home, because she knows that you're thousands of miles away. It's different.
So I had an untraditional track as well. So I graduated from Morgan State University. Took 3 years off while I worked in corporate America, kind of worked my way up the corporate ladder, so to speak. Found that I didn't enjoy my career choice. And I made the change to decide to go to law school. So what I looked for is, I was in Baltimore, and I was engaged at the time, my wife was pregnant, and it was a time to look for an area of the country, if we wanted to move, that had endless opportunities. I saw Atlanta as a place that had those opportunities. I saw it, and it just so happened to be that I had family who lived in the area. So I chose to move down to a place that I saw that had good opportunities, and I would have some kind of resource while I was there to assist, obviously, with wife, child, ex-wife.
All right, everyone. So you guys heard from our basic panelists as to why they chose the law school they went to, how they're getting to cope with law school, they care about the application process, scholarships. And so I hope you guys take a lot of notes. It's not over. These students will be at the conference in a couple more hours. And so in between our break, I encourage you guys to stop them, get their contact information, follow up, ask them for assistance. While we transition to our next lawyers panel, we'll give you guys about 10 minutes to come up, talk to them, exchange information, and